Hello, AP Psych students. Hopefully you're staying warm on this cold day. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today is intelligence testing and assessing intelligence and just looking at testing altogether. The intelligence test was originally devised by a French psychologist who was asked by the French government to help identify learners that were struggling in school. The government wanted to kind of give those who were struggling and falling behind an advantage, more attention, more tutoring in classes. So they asked for some kind of way to assess intelligence. And there were some people involved. On the next slide, we'll talk about one in particular who came up with the intelligence test, which is a method for assessing an individual's mental aptitude and comparing them with those of others using numerical scores. This man listed on the slide, Alfred Binet, was one of those individuals. He had the task of trying to come up with a test that would predict school achievement. One of the things that he did was work with hundreds of school-aged kids because IQ tests are used to measure school success and performance in school. And so he came up with age-appropriate questions. He found that through asking questions to 5-year-olds, he could find questions that were age-appropriate for the average 5-year-old. Same thing with questions that were appropriate for the average 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, all the way up. And he defined what was called the mental age. This is a measure of intelligence test performance that corresponds to a person's chronological age, given that level of performance. So, for example, if I'm 10 years old, but took the test that Binet devised and was able to answer questions that an average 13-year-old could answer, I was accelerated. I was above average. If I was a 10-year-old and took the IQ test and found that I could really only answer consistently questions of an average 7-year-old, well then it would indicate that I was falling behind. And so the mental age is compared to the child's chronological age to find where they're at. And maybe they're right where they should be. 10-year-old answering questions typical 10-year-old should answer. Binet personally supported the environmental explanation of intelligence. He took the more of the nurture side of the nature-nurture debate. He believed that intelligence was largely fostered by the experiences we have within our environment. Louis Terman took the original IQ test devised by Alfred Binet, and he revised it. He named it the Stanford Binet test. And this test was changed a little bit. It established new age norms. It extended the upper end of the test range from teenagers to more of an adult-appropriate IQ test. Terman did differ with Binet in terms of the nature-nurture debate. Terman believed that our intelligence was innate. So he supported the nature side of the debate. One thing that you need to be able to understand and will have to do on the test is to figure out a person's IQ. The intelligence quotient, or IQ, is a formula where you take the mental age, you divide it by the chronological age, and you multiply it by 100. So taking those tests, you could figure out what a child's mental age was compared to the questions that they were able to answer, divided by their actual age, multiply it by 100 to get rid of the decimal. So for example, if I was a 10-year-old and could answer questions of a 13-year-old, I would take 10 divided by 13, multiply it by 100, and my IQ would be 130, above average. If I was a 13-year-old but was only able to answer questions of a 10-year-old, I would take the mental age of 10 divided by 13 multiplied by 100, and my IQ score would be that of 77, well below average. You will need to be able to do this on the test without using a calculator. Some modern tests of mental abilities include aptitude as well as achievement tests. And you need to know the difference between the two. If we're talking about an aptitude test, it's a test that's intended to predict a person's future performance. Aptitude is our capacity to learn. Some of the most famous aptitude tests that many of you have taken, if not once, twice, some of you even 3 times, is the ACT. The ACT is an aptitude test that is a very good, consistent indicator of college performance and success in college. If you get a very high ACT score, it's likely your grades will be higher in college than that of someone who scores low on the ACT. They are going to struggle and their grades are going to be lower. Achievement tests are tests designed to reflect what a person has already learned. So any of the exams that you've taken in school that are assessing what you have already learned are achievement tests. So the test that you'll be taking on Chapter 11 is designed to reflect what you know about intelligence in Chapter 11, and that is an achievement test. One of the most widely used intelligence tests, in fact, the most widely used in history, and the one we presently use today, is the WAIS, the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. Wechsler devised the present-day IQ test, and it contained verbal and performance subtests. He also created one for children, the WISC, the WISC, and then later one for preschool children. What's nice about the Wechsler test is that it does yield one overall score, again with 100 being the average, but it does separate the scores into different categories like verbal comprehension, perceptual organization, working memory, and processing speed. So like that of the ACT, which yields one overall score, you can see where your areas of strengths and weaknesses lie. These are just some sample questions that one might see on a child's Wechsler's test. Looking at verbal abilities, performance with picture completion, picture arrangement, block design, object assembly, and then digital symbol substitution. All right, that's where we ended today.